Listening in on that is Kobus Marais, DA Defense spokesperson. They argued that South African soldiers should be recalled. And so we speak now to Mr. Marais. Mr. Marais, thank you very much for your time this morning. And so in a release dated 13 February 2024, you say, and I read, the decision by President Cyril Ramaphosa to deploy 2,900 South African National Defense Force members to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo is reckless, irrational, and must be reversed immediately. Why?
Well, first of all, I think two days after that, that's the first thing, I was proven to be right and correct, and that's very unfortunate that I was right in that circumstances, that we have lost the lives that we have warned about. My argument why I've said that is there's two basic reasons. First of all, I don't have a problem that we are involved in regional peacekeeping missions. Not at all. Especially if it is in our national interest and our national security is under threat. No problem whatsoever. However, when we deploy our soldiers, we must make sure that they have got more than enough money, more than enough equipment, and all the necessary air support for logistical support and for evacuations, for transport of soldiers in and out of the red zones, and for supplies and ammunition, etc. Now, first of all, we are not in such a position. We know that in the past 10, 11 years that we have been in the Eastern DRC and actively involved in the Force Intervention Brigade, we had the support of relatively good equipment, and there was no success in getting peace. We had the support of 5 Oryx helicopters that was on constant deployment there, and we had the support of 3 Oryx attack helicopters. They were in fact instrumental in 2013 when the M23s were then defeated. Now the situation now is that we know all. It's not a secret that our defense forces capabilities has been dwindling, and we are on the verge of collapse. We know that more than 85% of all our Air Force platforms are grounded, and that the Minister has confirmed in a written reply to my question. We also know that we have got 2 naval vessels available, so we have got no capabilities there, and our army equipment are so old and so under-resourced, and the equipment is to a certain extent still analog, while our adversaries are working with the best. So first of all is whether we can do that, whether we can sustain it, and whether we can afford that. Even if the National Treasury is now giving us money for this specifically, then it is still a matter of priorities. There was never money available to do, for instance, the upgrades on our naval frigates, which is for the 3, it's 750 million rand each. So that's just over 2 billion rand. If they now find somewhere 2 billion rand to fund the deployment to the DRC, then it's a question of where's your priorities? Why do you sacrifice our own national security for the DRC?
Mr. Marais, if I could please join you, sir. So in a statement dated 15 February by the South African National Defense Force on this particular incident in the DRC, it reads that a mortar bomb landed inside one of South Africa's military bases, or the military contingent's bases. And it reads also that details of the incident are still sketchy at the moment. Further investigations will be conducted to determine the basis of the incident. What is your understanding of what happened this time around?
Well, obviously what we know from information, and reliable information, is that the M23s are supported by Rwanda, whether they agree with that or not. And remember, Rwanda is a neighboring state of the DRC. Now, it seems like Rwanda is providing them with quite excellent ammunition. They have apparently launched the other day a surface-to-air missile on a drone of the United Nations, and this was clearly a guided mortar. So in other words, they were precisely in terms of where they want to shoot this at, and we had no technology and equipment to prevent that or to, to basically destroy that before it landed in our camp. So equipment is a major problem, and we know that our equipment are in a very, very poor and dilapidated state, and it's old technology. So if you can't be better than your adversary, stay home. What we are saying is that, yes, we can get involved, but let's first come back, let's reprioritize, let's build up our prime mission equipment, let's give our soldiers all the equipment and the support that they need. They even have got problems with their shoes that they are wearing in the DRC. So incredible is this. The second argument is, yes, it's DRC is a SADC country, but this is not a SADC mission. The president has said that there was a call and all SADC nations must now contribute. We are the most southern member of the DRC, of SADC, and the DRC is the most northern member of SADC. Zambia, the neighboring country, is not involved. Kenya is not involved. Rwanda is not involved. Burundi is not involved. Zimbabwe is not involved. Angola, a neighboring country with a much better air force than ours, are not involved. And I can go on. Mozambique, none of them are involved. So why is this such a high priority for the ANC government? There are rumors that this is again like we have experienced in the Central African Republic a couple of years ago, where the soldiers were sacrificed to protect certain mineral and mining rights of individuals well connected to the government. That is unforgiving, and that is dangerous, and that is like treason against our country. We must rebuild our own capabilities. We must protect our own borders, land and maritime, and make sure that we can get our helicopters, our fixed-wing aircraft up in the air and our naval vessels on the sea, and upgrade our land equipment so that we can properly protect the integrity of our country and the safety of our nation. Sure. Currently, we are in a position we cannot do that.
Mr. Marais, sir, the allegation that Rwanda is possibly involved in all of this, are you then suggesting maybe we are using the wrong equipment in the form of human capital, for lack of a better expression, right? That is there room for diplomacy, for Pretoria and Kigali to find each other to get to the bottom of this and to possibly collaborate to bring about stability in the Democratic Republic of Congo? Do you perceive there's room for that?
I don't think it should be the responsibility of Pretoria and Kigali to find a solution. I think it must be the responsibility of the African Union and the East African Community Bloc. Those are the countries. The DRC is part of the East African Bloc. This is an East African problem. It is apparently neighboring, supporting certain rebel groups against the DRC. It is, I mean, we have just heard in your previous segment about what is going on in Goma. Our own soldiers are fearing what has happened in the Central African Republic will again happen. Remember, there was also a major problem with proper equipment support and air support. We are in exactly the same position. We have got one Oryx helicopter in the DRC that is anyway due for a major service. So we are with our hands tied behind our back. There are no Oryx available to fly in the DRC. So we are, and there's a huge concern about our logistical capability, support logistically. So we should come back, and we should say to the African Union and to the East African Bloc, this is your responsibility. This is in your area of responsibility. Make sure that there are peace between neighbors. It is not South Africa's responsibility to secure peace in East Africa. That's the East African Bloc and the African Union's responsibility.
Mr. Marais, seeing that your party is launching its manifesto this afternoon, perhaps is that, or what you have outlined for us, because you say it is not up for debate. Yes, there needs to be intervention and there needs to be peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But is that the stance or your policy when it comes more so to what is it, diplomacy? Is it international relations on the African continent? What is it that the Democratic Alliance stands for, more so when we speak of peace and security right here on this here continent?
Well, first of all, when it is like where we are, where there's no clear national interest and our national security is not directly under threat, yes, diplomacy, it's a foreign relations problem. It should be handled via diplomacy. To shoot each other and to kill each other is not the answer. They will have to find a lasting solution. When our national security is under threat, and when it is, for instance, like our neighboring countries, what we have in the Mozambique at this stage, and we have got the threats that we are constantly facing on our oceans as well as our land borders, yes, then we must make sure that only the ones that can come in legally, no problem with them coming in. But the illegal entrance, and especially the illegal substances and goods and all that money and people being illegally taking in and out of South Africa, then we have to use our defense force. But that is back home. That is not in Central Africa where we should have no interest whatsoever.
What is your understanding, Mr. Marais, of what allows that to happen when you speak about here at home, right? We're hearing a lot about the so-called porous borders. What do you think allows for that when you speak of migration?
Well, remember, I mean, all of us know that people are looking for better opportunities. And surely, like we find in South Africa, where so many people are from the Eastern Cape and even the Northern Cape and even Limpopo and Free State are coming down to the Western Cape for opportunities. Obviously, anybody in a very poor state, in a very challenging circumstances, will look for better opportunities. And we know that there are many people from Zimbabwe, from all over Africa, that is working in South Africa because of better opportunities. But it has to be legally done. It has to be through visas and the diplomatic way and through the official points of entry at our borders. The same with the transport of goods and people via our airports and our harbors. It has to be done legally and within the framework of our constitution and the rest of our laws. If not, then we are up for anybody to abuse us. Like there are rumors that South Africa has been abused to funnel money to Hamas via the Muslim Brotherhood, their connections in South Africa, and that has been one of the reasons why we have been grey-listed as a country. So we have to make sure that we are a reliable international partner to whether it is our major trading partners who are supposed to be our biggest priorities, and any new trading partners, whether that's China, Russia, or wherever it might be, that we are a preferred destination where they can invest their money, where they can create jobs, where we can make sure that we reduce the unemployment rate in South Africa tremendously, and that we know that we can increase our GDP. Remember, we need a strong defense force. Our current funding for our defense force is about 0.7% of our GDP. And our GDP is already for a number of years under enormous pressure. So our GDP is much lower than it should be and can be.
Sure.
Now,
all right.
The international standard is 2% of GDP. I believe that we should aim for 1% of GDP, which will give us at least another 20 billion rand for the defense force. However, this economy cannot afford that in a sustainable way.
Well, Mr. Marais, the Business Day also did a very interesting piece of work. When you speak of South Africa and grey listing and the rumor that you cite, they have done a report on a lack of cooperation, and I'm reading verbatim, by legal practitioners and state agencies regarding requests by the Financial Intelligence Center for critical information required by the Financial Action Task Force. That is been given as a reason threatening South Africa Africa's bid to be removed from grey listing. And so there's quite a lot when it comes to the situation as well, on the role that some businesses play in South Africa in getting us out of those murky waters. Thank you very much for your contribution this morning.